Today I'm going to walk you through building a loan calculator, but also the dreaded amortization table. And even the pronunciation, right, makes you want to run. So I'm going to walk you through a pretty simple way to do this, so it doesn't have to be as complicated as all get out. So I'm going to walk you through from start to end how you can basically fill in these 4 points: loan amount, loan period in years, interest rate, and start date. And everything will populate automatically. So if we adjust this to 100,000, for example, everything updates automatically. Here's our month of payment, total paid, interest paid, and loan payoff date. So this is a really simple layout, and I'm going to walk you through all these calculations, how everything gets put together from start to scratch. So stay tuned. Let's go. All right, so when I said start from scratch, we are starting from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and just add, I like this darker background, just a little easier in your eyes. So that's how I'm going to start. And then we're just going to set up this table real quick. So I'm just going to copy this. We're going to make these formulas, but just so I'm not sitting here typing while you're watching, I'm just going to paste this in, delete this out. So what I did here, for example, is just select these rows and columns, hit this merge cells, and that shows up. And then just a different color there, font color to white. And then on these, again, just different color. And then I change these to yellow, just make them easy to highlight. And then what I do on here, and I'm gonna have to reset it because I messed with it now, is I change this border to the same as I did the background color. So I did the background color 1 over from the black, and then I'm just gonna do all borders this way, just so it kind of blends in the background. So that's it in there. Let me grab these headers for these columns for this amortization table, if I can say that 10 times quickly. I'm gonna just paste those values only here, just so I can walk you quickly through setting this up. So go ahead and set that up there. Font and bold. I think bold, maybe not bold. I don't know. You can choose. You can take what I'm doing here, modify it to how you want, pick different colors, etc. So I'm just gonna basically just trying to walk you through how this is set up. So I'm gonna add this loan stats over here. So and then let me just copy this over, and then we're gonna actually make all those formulas. So let's just set these to maybe, I don't know, 60 width, something like that should be good. And so what I did here is I just clicked on this, held down Control, and then clicked on the ones I wanted to select. That's a quick way to apply the same changes across multiple things. All right, so that's a big chunk of the formatting there. You can see we're kind of getting close here. Maybe make this a little wider so we're not going across the board there. And then just setting this to white, and then we can start building our calculations. So I did enough space here for 30 years. If you want more, we can add more. All we have to do is just drag down the formulas. So I'm just going to go down here just for now and delete this, and then we'll come back and adjust this later. And let's get started. So I'll show you real quick the formulas, and then I'll walk through building them. So what I'm doing is this period, I'm doing a very simple formula, just a sequence, and I'm counting the dates here. This one's the one that's a little more tricky if you haven't done with these before. But basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the start date and loan period and coming up with a column of dates. And so we're going to go ahead and build this from scratch. I'm going to walk you real quick through the rest of these formulas. So this one is just the payment, monthly payment from here. So that's just a simple formula. We'll build that. Principal, another principal payment formula. And these are built in Google, so I'll walk you through how to put those together. And then finally, the balance is simply the loan amount minus the principal, and then ongoing. We're just going to subtract the ongoing balance, or subtract the ongoing, the principal from the ongoing balance. And then we'll subtract it, and then as we go, it gets less and less and less until we get to 0. Okay, let me run you through these real quick. So this one is just the monthly payment calculation, and then total paid, I'm just multiplying the monthly payment by the loan period in years times the number of months. And then interest paid, just subtracting the loan amount from total paid. And loan payoff, I'm just taking this formula called max. So it's just taking the biggest one. And so the biggest date from column C. All right, so that's the quick run through. And then let's actually build this from scratch. So first of all, let me just enter some numbers in here. So let's say 250,000. Actually, these are, let me clear the formatting, because when you're building this from scratch, it's not going to have these in here. So let's see here. So this might show up like this. And so just click this format as currency. It will be simple. And if you don't want those cents on there, just click on the decrease decimal places. I know it makes no sense, right? Sorry for the joke. 30 years, throw that in here. And then for the percentage, this is showing a percentage here. Let's do, go back to format. Let's just do automatic. So it might show up like this, and then you're actually trying to do 499, and it's not showing a percentage. So what you do is just click on percent, and then we can type it in. And now we have a percent. And then start date, if you don't have that drop down showing up, just click drop down, and then is valid date, and then click done, and then you can select that drop down. So let's just say it started March 1st, 2024. And there is our setting stuff. So to populate this date, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do date and basically come up with a start date and then iterate from there. So what I need to do inside that, if you look over here, is I did an array formula. And so the array formula is just allowing it to fill into multiple cells. But this is the basics of what I'm doing. Is I'm taking the year of G3, and then this sequence is what's coming up with, if I can get inside here, sequence returns a grid of sequential numbers. And so this is the secret to doing this, is this sequence formula. Almost sounds the same, secrets and sequence. And so basically I'll walk you through as we build this. So I'm just going to open up this array formula and then get to the meat of it, which is the date. And so let's start with that year. And so what I'm doing here is extracting the years. And so if I highlight this, you can see it's coming out with 2024. And so in the date, what we're building actually is year, month, and day. And so where we're going to turn this magic is, instead of just using a single number for the month, we're going to use a sequence. And that's why we need that array formula. Otherwise, it would just try to show up in one cell. We actually want it to fill all the way down. So the sequence, get to here. So the number of rows is basically going to be the number of years times the number of months. And so that'll come up with 360. Should be, yep, 360 months for a 30-year loan with monthly payments. So we need to actually add something, because we're starting the third month. So we need to make sure we start in the third month, not the first month. So we need to fill out the rest of these. So rows, columns, we don't need columns. We just need one column. And then the start is what we need here. So we need the month, because we want to start in the third month. And then that should do it. So we can just do one for the day. So it starts with the first of the month. And then that should do it. If we close it out, now it's filling down. It should fill for 30 years. So we'll have some extra space. We can delete this. Let me see what another 12. I just want to show you. I'll leave another 12, and I'll show you what it looks like. So if we go from here. If I can get this quickly here. Delete rows. All right, we're going to leave extra 12. And I'm going to show you how to go from this one. We only had 30 years. I'm going to show you how to modify this in case you need more or less. All right, so we have this. And again, this one was very easy. We're going to use that same sequence. And then what we're going to do is just a count of the cells in here. So C6. And then you can see now it's just going to go 360 is what's filling into sequence. And the sequence just basically goes from 1 to 360. Just like that. So the reason why we need this payment number is for some of the other calculations that we have, and we'll get to that in a second. So we'll just jump over here and do our monthly payment stat real quick. And so that one is using this payment formula. So let's go ahead and do that. And if you noticed, if you're astute, you notice that I had a negative in here, and I'll show you why in a second. So let's build this first, and I'll show you what's going on. So this rate, the first thing, if you don't see this, just click on this formula help here, or if you go up here, it will often show up. So either way you like to build it. Some people like to build it up here in the formula bar. Some people like to build it in cell. It's up to you. Longer ones are usually you kind of need to do in here, and you can, if you click on where you have the double arrows, you can click on this and make this lots of space up here if you need it. But we don't have any complicated formulas, so we'll just skip it here. So we're going to take this interest rate, but because we're doing a monthly payment, we're going to divide this by 12, because that interest rate is applied every month. And so if we did the full annual interest rate every month, it would be crazy. So number of periods is the number of years times 12, because it's 30 times the monthly periods. Present value is going to be the starting loan amount, and that should be it. So you can see we have a negative amount for the payment amount. That's just how it works. So if you want to show a negative amount, you can leave it like that, or if you want to show it as a positive amount, we'll just add that negative in front of that. So for this payment then, instead of repeating this formula every cell, I'm just going to do this because the number of years could be different. So for example, we did 10 years, we end here. And so I don't want this to keep showing up if those years are done. So I'm just going to add this. If C6 equals blank, then show nothing. And so often you might see this as double quotes inside that. I'm just going to leave it blank. You don't have to do anything in here in Google Sheets. So that may be confusing, but basically what I'm saying is if C6 is blank, don't do anything. Otherwise, we're going to show this monthly payment. And I'm going to hit F4 to add these dollar signs. If you don't have F4 on your keyboard, just do a dollar sign before the J, before the 3. The reason for that is so that way when we drag it down, so that C6 turns to C7, but that J3 we want to stay the same because that is not moving. So that's it in that one. I'm going to go ahead and drag this down to the bottom, and you'll see why here in a second when we adjust this. So we go back to 30 years, we'd see it goes all the way down here. If we go to 40 years, something broke there. So E3, 480. Oh, I added one more year's worth. I'm a doofus. Look at that. Good thing I have you around to help me. So let's go ahead and go down here. So there is 40 years. So I was giving you 31, not 40. So there's 40 years for you. So let me drag down this formula the rest of the way. And now let's go ahead and build the rest of these. All right, so the principal, we were using this P payment, and this is periodic payment. So let me go back into here. And we're going to do the same thing. If this is blank, we just want to ignore. And we'll go ahead and do this minus P payment. And so that if we pop this open, click on this, gives us our little cheat sheet on what we need. So again, we need the rate. So we're going to divide by 12. And the period, so this is the payment period that we're looking at. And so this is why we need this number to let us know where we're at. So number of periods is this times 12. Present value is going to be the loan amount. and then that will do it. So before we drag this down, again, if you're tracking with me, we need to lock some of these. So the C6 is fine, B6 is fine. We want those to change as we drag it down. But these ones referencing from the top, we do not. And so let's go ahead and look at our interest one. So interest, we're using a similar formula here called I payment. And that's going to be if C6 blank, nothing, or I payment on interest for an investment. And so this actually, all this logic actually works for investing too. We're just building a loan calculator for the moment. So same deal, interest rate divided by 12, the period, number of periods, and present value. And we'll go ahead and lock these again, F4. All right, and then balance, what we need to do is the loan amount minus the principal. And so this is the balance after this payment. So let's go ahead and drag these down. So this one I would drag down, and I will go ahead and do that. But you can see it's immediately off because it's going down here. But all we need to do is actually change this to our prior month balance. And so now we have these three formulas in place. Now we can drag these down all the way. And there we see our final one is 0. Scroll back up. Now we can get our rest of our quick formulas here. So total paid, total interest, and loan payoff. So total paid is this times loan period times 12 months. And I did 40 years. I was like trying to figure out why the difference. Let's do 30 years just so we can make sure this number is correct. Total interest paid is this minus our loan payment. And then this will be max of the date in column C. So there you go. If we change this back to 40, you can see that added 10 years. So one thing I've not done yet, you can see this has a clean look. It doesn't have this grid. You can see kind of, I don't know if you can see this on the video. Maybe it kind of isn't as obvious, but you should be able to see it in your own computer. If you want that to disappear, click on View, Show, and then uncheck Grid Lines. And it has a really clean view. Let's clean this up a little bit. Now we don't have anything here. Makes it a little more confusing. So let's go ahead and add at least an internal grid like that. That helps us to track where we are a little easier. Now we have this little, you can see these tiny little dots around the outside. So I'm going to add a border, same color as the background on the outside of this, just like that. And then let's add something on the top here. So we could do black maybe on the bottom there, and maybe like white in between vertically, just like that. All right, that looks nice. And then looks like I'm missing something up here. I think when I redid that to show you how to do that, let me just go ahead and re-add that there. And that will do it. So now we've built this from scratch. You can see it just takes a couple quick formulas here to put this together. I'm going to leave a link to this completed one in the description of this video. So you can scroll down there and click on that, and you can get this end result. And then you can look at these and play around with the formulas and see how this works for you. I hope this was helpful for you today. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and check out our other videos for more tutorials on both Google Sheets and Google Apps Script. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.